Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Om Akhandananda Sambodha Vandana Yasya Jayate Govindam Tamaham Vande Chidananda Tanum Gurum. So yesterday we saw what is this collective ignorance and what is this individual ignorance. We call the collective ignorance as a Maya and the individual ignorance as a Avidya. Okay, we'll come to the Avidya later, but we'll stick to the Maya now. So what is Maya? Maya, we called it as a Shuddha Sattva Pradhana, where there is predominance of a Sattva. Predominance of Sattva does not mean that there is only Shuddha Sattva means pure Sattva actually, but we translate it as predominance of Sattva, because if I say pure Sattva, people will misunderstand it by thinking that it is 100% Sattva. There can be no pure in anything. Okay, so here when we say pure Sattva, it refers to the predominance of Sattva, meaning the Sattva as a 99.99%, where there is Tamas and Rajas of 0.01%. Okay, that is compulsory. 0.01% of Tamas and Rajas should be there. Let them share that 0.01%, but there should be Rajas and Tamas. There can be no pure Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Nothing. They have to be, because ignorance means it is a collective of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So they have to always be there. Their gradation may change. If it is in the pristine pure form, 99.99 kind of form, then it is called as īśvara. When there is a difference in that, then it is called as Jiva. Okay? That is that. Now, this pure Sattva, which is Maya, is the base for īśvara. This is what differentiates īśvara from Jiva. So, he is explaining what is this collective ignorance is for. So, māyopahitacaitanyaṃ sābhāsaṃ sattvabṛṃhitam sarvajñatvādiguṇakaṃ sṛṣṭisthityantakāraṇam avyākṛtaṃ tadavyaktamīśa ityapi gīyate māyopahitacaitanyaṃ sābhāsaṃ sattvabṛṃhitam sarvajñatvādiguṇakaṃ sṛṣṭisthityantakāraṇam avyākṛtaṃ tadavyaktamīśa ityapi gīyate. Beautiful. Before we understand the shloka, we will understand the first two words. Maya upahita chaitanyam. Upahita, the word upahita means upadhi yukta. Upadhi means embodiment. Yukta means associated. Associated with this embodiment of Maya. Maya upahita. Okay. Now, there are three ways to understand this. These are three ways which are a leeway which is given by Bhagavan Bhāshyakara himself in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. These are three ways of understanding who Īśvara is. The beauty is, in Vedanta, though we are talking about monotheism, there is no other Īśvara. There is not even theism. There is non-duality. That's all. There is nothing. There is no form. There is nothing. There is no Īśvara. We don't prescribe to a form of Īśvara. But we also support the Īśvara with form for understanding the Īśvara without form. It is a means to the end, not the end itself. That is what Vedanta teaches. So, what is this Īśvara? We have to understand the Īśvara, because even if if you are going to say that Īśvara is without form and all that, but still if you are going to accept him to be the cause for the creation, then how can the formless be the cause for the creation? There will be so much of confusion. Here we don't leave any chance for confusion. Okay, everything is so clear, logical. There is no compulsion. Oh, you have to understand this, otherwise, no, there is no threatening here. Just clear logic. He says, Maya upahita chaitanyam. Maya upadhi yukta chaitanyam. Maya embodied association, Maya embodiment associated consciousness. That's all. So here, this embodiment association is seen in three different ways. We have to bring in the three different ways because the next word is sābhāsaṃ, along with the abhasa. Abhasa normally means, there are different means, translation for abhasa. Abhasa in Tamil means very kind of sexy, some idea, something like that. Okay, abhasa. So naked or something. So that is abhasa. Okay, so naked or sexy kind of, that is abhasa. Then in the Hindi language, abhasa means a kind of shadow. Okay, so here abhasa does not mean either. We'll understand this. First, before understanding, see, this is little complicated kind of idea when we say Pratibimbita Chaitanya or Abhasita Chaitanya. Let us come to that later. In Viveka Chudamani or in Tattvabodha, etc., the idea which is presented there is Avacchinnavada. There are three kinds of Vada. Vada means the methodology to understand this. So there are three kinds of methodology which are taught in Vedanta to understand who is īśvaraḥ. Okay. What is īśvaraḥ? What is God? Avacchinnavada through methodology of Avachinna. Second is Pratibimbavada through methodology of Pratibimba. The third is Abhasavada through the methodology of Abhasa. Now, Avachinna means associated. Okay. Then Pratibimba means a reflection. Abhasa means a shadow reflection. So, association, reflection, shadow reflection. We'll come to each one of them. Now, the basic system which we are taught in other text, the basic text which we accept as basic text, will stick to the Avacchinnavada. Now, since we are taking this as the base text, we have to understand the other philosophies also, other methodologies also. In between, while I was explaining something, I had some object in my hand and suddenly that object disappeared. That object is this pot. Okay. Now, what is inside this pot? Nothing. Very good. Now, this is pot. What is inside this pot? You can't say nothing. Just because I showed you there is nothing inside the pot, now you cannot say there is nothing inside the pot because the pot engulfs space. This pot is limiting the space. There is space outside, there is space inside. So the pot is limiting. Now there is no limiting agent. There is no limiting agent. There is no limitation. When I don't show the pot, when there is no pot, there is no limiting agent. When I present the pot limits the space as inside space and outside space. You get it? This limiting adjunct of pot is called as upadhi. This upadhi of pot limits the space. Okay? The upadhi of pot limits the space. The upadhi of Maya limits the consciousness, Chaitanya. Upadhi of pot limits the space. Similarly, the upadhi of Maya limits the consciousness. If the upadhi of Maya limits the consciousness, which we call it as a Maya avachinna Chaitanya, Maya associated consciousness. When the Maya upadhi embodiment limits the consciousness, then that is called as īśvaraḥ. Maya limiting consciousness. Maya is limiting agent associated with consciousness. Maya is limiting agent associated with consciousness. That is called as a Maya avachinna chaitanya. Okay. Maya associated consciousness. Simply put, Maya associated consciousness. This is the first methodology. The second methodology is Pratibhimbavada. Okay. Now I have a box in my hand. And now in that box there is a mirror. And that inside that mirror there is a reflection of the box now. You can see the reflection of box inside the mirror, right? Now, this box as a whole is called as a is a representative for consciousness, and the mirror is a Maya. In that Maya, you have the reflection of consciousness. Maya pratibhimbita chaitanya, meaning a Maya reflected consciousness is what is called as īśvaraḥ. Okay. Maya reflected consciousness. And in Pratibhimbavada and Abhasavada, same. Maya reflected consciousness is Abhasavada also. Maya reflected consciousness is Pratibhimbavada and Maya reflected consciousness is Abhasavada also. What is the difference? We'll come to that difference later. First, what is this? Maya associated consciousness. Maya avachinna chaitanya we called. Under this Maya is the upadhi, limiting agent. So, part is like Maya, which is a limiting agent for the space, which is consciousness. Therefore, Maya limiting agent consciousness is a īśvaraḥ. If this part is accepted to be avidya associated consciousness or avidya limiting agent associated consciousness is what is a jiva is. If Maya is the limiting agent for consciousness, it is īśvaraḥ. If Maya is the limiting agent for consciousness, then it is, if avidya is the limiting agent for consciousness, that is jiva. This is the difference between īśvaraḥ and jiva. Okay. Now come to this. If the consciousness is the reflected in the reflecting medium, Maya, then it is called as a īśvaraḥ. If the consciousness is the reflected medium in the avidya, then it is jiva, right? So now there are different schools in that. What is that which is reflected in avidya? Avidya, or some people accept it as mind also. Okay, so antakarana. So what is that which is reflected in the antakarana or avidya? Is it the consciousness itself, or is it īśvaraḥ? Some people accept the consciousness reflected in the avidya is to be jiva. Some people say, no, it is īśvaraḥ who is reflected in the consciousness, in the avidya. That is jiva. Okay, that is the school. Now, let us forget all that. Let us remember only one thing. This Maya associated consciousness is a avacchinnavada. Maya reflected consciousness is a Pratibhimbavada. Maya reflected consciousness is Abhasavada. Okay. Now we know the three methodologies. Now the difference between the Pratibhimbavada and Abhasavada is, though the reflection is same, but the thing is, the reflected is accepted to be real in the case of Pratibhimbavada, whereas the reflected is also accepted as a illusory in Abhasavada. That is the difference between Pratibhimbavada and Abhasavada. What does that mean? Before understanding that, why do they have to understand like that? Before understanding that, we have to understand something more important, which is there are three kinds of Trivida Satta. There are three kinds of existence. There are three kinds of existence. One is Paramarthika Satta. The second is Vyavaharika Satta. The third is Pratibhasika Satta. Paramarthika satta means absolute existence. Vyavaharika satta means transactional existence. Pratibhasika satta means a seeming existence, seeming transactional existence. Okay, let me explain it with example. Paramarthika satta means absolute reality. What is that absolute reality? That which is not negated in all three periods of time is called as absolute reality, Paramarthika satta. Okay. Now, Vyavaharika satta means that which exists for a longer period of time, that is Vyavaharika, transactional reality. And in that Vyavaharika exists because of the ignorance of the self. Okay. If you have ignorance of the Vyavaharika, if you have the ignorance of the transactional reality, which is the mother of pearl. If you have the ignorance of mother of pearl, you have the silver, which is the reflector, which is the you can call it as reflector, or if you can call it as reflector. Okay. The silver which you see is called as pratibhasika. That silver comes into existence because of the ignorance of the mother of pearl, which is Vyavaharika. So the ignorance, the pratibhasika can be negated only through the knowledge of Vyavaharika. Pratibhasika. I give three names for this. Paramarthika, I call it a permanently permanent. Vyavaharika, I call it as temporarily permanent. And Pratibhasika, I call it as temporarily temporary. Okay. So the silver which you see in the mother of pearl, it is only till you understand that it is mother of pearl. Temporarily temporary. Okay. It cannot go on and on. But this goes on and on. This, my body, I see the world, etc. goes on and on. Therefore, I call it as temporarily permanent. Every day I see this body. Now, this temporarily permanent, which is also a kind of illusion, can be negated only with the, it is because of ignorance, right? So it can be only removed through the knowledge of the substratum, which is itself. Temporary can be removed only through the knowledge of temporarily permanent. Pratibhasika can be removed only through the knowledge of Vyavaharika. Temporarily permanent can be removed only through the knowledge of permanently permanent. Vyavaharika can be removed only through the knowledge of Paramarthika. This is the difference. Paramarthika means absolute. Vyavaharika means transactional. Pratibhasika means temporary transactional, seeming existence. Now, if you accept the three kinds of reality, the three kinds of existence, then we accept the Pratibimbavada. Pratibimbavada accepts three kinds of reality. Whereas Abhasavada does not accept the three kinds of reality. For them, there is only real and non-real. Over. What is the gradation in the false, the lie, the illusion? Whether it stays for a small period of time or a greater period of time. What is the difference? It is an illusion. It is a wrong knowledge. So they accept there is one thing which is called as absolute, the other thing which is non-absolute. Non-absolute can be illusion. It can stay for a small period or longer period. With that we are not worried about, but that is illusion. Over. So that is where the in the Pratibimba also, in the reflection also, Abhasavada comes into existence. So the Pratibimbavada accepts the worldly reality to be real, true. The Abhasavada does not accept it as real. It accepts even that as illusion. The reflection in that is illusion. So for Abhasavada, there is only absolute and there is non-absolute. For the Pratibimbavada and Avacchinnavada, there is absolute, there is transactional reality, and there is a seeming reality. Okay, these are the differences. Now, māyopahitacaitanyaṃ sābhāsaṃ. Now come to the shloka meaning. After understanding this, now we come to the shloka meaning. Sābhāsaṃ. Sābhāsaṃ means along with the reflection. Sattvabṛṃhitam, that which is filled with abundance of sattva. Sarvajñānāvabhāsakaḥ, that which is endowed with the qualities of a sarvajñatva, etc. Sarvajña means omniscience. Sarvajña means omniscience. Omniscience, etc. Omniscient, etc. Qualities, that which is endowed with sṛṣṭisthityantakāraṇam, that which is the cause for karanam, that which is cause for creation, sustenance, and dissolution. sṛṣṭisthityantakāraṇam. Okay. Now there are in the other philosophy which accept īśvara, which established the īśvara to be the absolute. There they accept 5 qualities of īśvara: creation, sustenance, and we accept creation, sustenance, and dissolution. Now they accept anugraha nigraha. In sṛṣṭi, sthiti, anugraha, nigraha, samhara. They accept 5 qualities in īśvara. They accept the anugraha nigraha in sthiti. Anugraha nigraha means blessing and punishing. Anugraha means blessing, grace, and nigraha means punishing. Both his grace and punishing, they come in the existence, that level. So we accept only 3 states: creation, sustenance, and dissolution for the īśvara. Okay, that he is the cause for all these 3. Tad māyopahitacaitanyaṃ, that one who is endowed with the embodiment of maya. Māyopahitacaitanyaṃ, the consciousness endowed with the limiting agent of maya. The consciousness endowed with the limiting agent of maya, the consciousness associated with the limiting agent of maya, whichever way you want to understand, you can understand. So māyopahitacaitanyaṃ, consciousness associated with the limiting agent of maya. Avyākṛtaṃ, avyaktam, īśa, ityapi, gīyate is what is referred to as avyākṛta, avyakta, and īśa. Avyākṛta means where the manifestation of name and form did not take place. Avyakta means unmanifest. Īśa, God, īśvara. Okay, so he is referred to with these words. Now, if you remember, out of the 14 different names which we enumerated for ignorance, ajnana, we also said avyakta, avyākṛta. Now that is the name given for īśvara. Okay, now sarvaśaktiguṇopetaḥ, sarvajñānāvabhāsakaḥ, svatantraḥ, satyasaṅkalpaḥ, satyakāmaḥ, īśvaraḥ. He is again going on to explain who that īśvara is. sarvaśaktiguṇopetaḥ, sarvajñānāvabhāsakaḥ, svatantraḥ, satyasaṅkalpaḥ, satyakāmaḥ, īśvaraḥ. I didn't explain too much with reference to the word the sarvajñatvādiguṇakaṃ. We will come to that here. So īśvaraḥ, that īśvara is a sarvaśaktiguṇopetaḥ. He is endowed with all the powers, omnipotent. Earlier we saw omniscient. Here he says omnipotent. See, the difference between īśvara and jiva is īśvara is omniscient, jiva is a limited knowledge. Īśvara is omnipotent, jiva is a limited power. So whatever we see as limited in jiva, that is in absolute in īśvara. Okay, so sarvaśaktiguṇopetaḥ, kinchidnya, we will call it kinchidnya, alpagnya, we know little, and īśvara is sarvajña. Okay, he is all knowing. We are alpashaktiman, we have limited power. īśvara is sarvashaktiman. Okay, now coming to this sarvaśaktiguṇopetaḥ, he is endowed with omnipotency. sarvajñānāvabhāsakaḥ, it is the cause for illuminating all the knowledges. See, first the knowledge of pot. I see this and I somebody tells me this is pot and I have gained the knowledge of pot. How do I gain the knowledge of pot? It's a very strange thing. See, the name pot for this is, who gave the name pot for this object? Not me. My father told me this is pot. Who told your father? My grandfather. So the name for this object should be pot was decided by īśvaraḥ. īśvara ichha, the desire of īśvara for this object to be named as pot is what we see as pot. Okay, we understand it as pot. Now, this pot, I see this pot, I gain the knowledge that it is pot. Remembering also is because of īśvara's grace. That is why in the exam, before the exam, we fold our hands and we pray, God, please not let me pass. There are some people who pray for passing, but some people, okay, let us say, some people, they pray for remembering whatever they have studied. Okay, so that is also because of that knowledge. See, knowledge of the objects and knowledge of that which we remember, which we have in memory, both are illumined by that īśvara. Sarvajñānāvabhāsakaḥ. That is why tasya sarvamidam vibhati. Because of his illumination, everything gets illumined. Okay, now svatantraḥ, he is independent. We discussed about this independence in the beginning itself. Okay, he is independent. He is not paratantra. He is not dependent upon anything, anyone. Now satyasaṅkalpaḥ. His sankalpa, his will, whatever he wills, that comes as true. Satyakāmaḥ, whatever he desires, that comes as true. So whatever he thinks, that comes, that takes place, and whatever he desires, that takes place. Now we have to understand what that means in this scenario. In everything there are three states: jnana shakti, ichha shakti, and kriya shakti. Jnana, ichha, kriya. Right? So when the jnana, ichha, and kriya, when the knowledge, desire, and activity are limited, then he is called as jiva. We are kinchidnya, we are alpajna, we are alpa ichhavan, or we are alpa shaktiman. Okay, but whereas īśvara is sarvajñah, sarva ichhavan, sarva satyakāmaḥ, satyasaṅkalpaḥ, sarvaśaktiman. Okay, so he has the knowledge, desire, and the activity in absolute state, the power in absolute state. That is why sarvajñah, in earlier shloka he said sarvajñah, his knowledge is complete. Satyakāmaḥ, satyasaṅkalpaḥ, established his desire to be complete also, absolute also. And sarvaśaktiguṇopetaḥ, establishes his power also is absolute. That is the kind of īśvara who is the reflection of consciousness in the Maya. Okay, we'll see this. Om Purnamadaḥ Purnamidam Purnāt Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.